Hello everyone. Today we're going to be taking a look at Schmincke. This is my monster palette of regular Schmincke colors. I do have a separate granulating palette that we'll be looking at a later time. This is the last palette in my regular palette, so then we're going to be starting our battles, and I'm going to be picking out, and we're going to be comparing all of these colors that we have been looking at side by side and see which one's the best. So let's get right on into it with the swatching so you can see them next to each other and see if any of these colors float your boat. She's a big chart today, and we're using the Escoda Perla number 8, and this is Saunders Waterford Hot Pressed. So let's zoom on in. First up, we have Cad Red Light. These colors are a classic for a reason. They are full of pigment. Depending on where you live, they can be fairly reasonably priced. And you can get them in half pans, full pans, tubes, which makes it great for any way that you want to work. There's no honey in these, so they're great for travel. This was PR 108. I don't know if I mentioned. Then we're going into Geranium, which is our PR 242. I'd say these are a good one if you're a beginner and you want a classic, good quality brand. They move about a medium amount, which we can test at the end. They're not as slow moving as a Holbein and definitely not as fast as a Coors. Transparent Red Deep, PR 144. Delicious red. Reminds me of stop sign, strawberries, maybe more towards strawberries. Scarlet Lake, PR 254. I did not pre-wet these, so they are coming right off the pan like this. And for not having honey in them, they re-wet like so easily. Madder Red Deep. PV19 and PR 179. And hopefully you can see how nice and transparent these are, being able to see my writing right through them. That's why I write on the swatch area. Ruby, PV19. How's everyone doing in this heat wave we're having here in the United States? It's gotten pretty hot outside. I think my air conditioner has not shut off, and it's not really keeping up with the heat. I live in the Chicagoland area. We're not used to that much hot weather. I mean, it gets hot during the summers, but not quite, you know, all the time. Dark Ruby. can definitely see the difference between the ruby and the dark ruby. PR 264, completely different pigment. You would think if they use the same type of name that it would be maybe the same pigment or a variance on it, but not in this case. Really pretty though, nice and saturated. Let's just move us over a little bit. Perline Maroon, PR 179. These paints are very smooth. I mean, they have granulation, but they are so smooth right out of the pan. Permanent Carmine, PV 19. This one has a little bit of a pinky tone. Magenta, PV 42. Color payoff is very good. I wouldn't say that they're overly pigmented. Quinacridone Magenta, PR 202. This one is a lot more saturated than the straight magenta right before it. And we have Purple Magenta, PR 122. Very pretty. It's right up my alley. And Brilliant Purple, which has a fluorescent pigment in it, and PR 122. I would say it's extremely close to the one right before it. You want to avoid the fluorescence. But it does have just a little bit of added brightness. Now we're getting into Manganese Violet, PV 16. I really like Manganese Violet. I always feel like I'm painting kind of from under with the camera. I don't want to bump anything so that nothing shakes for you. Although I think every now and then I shake it a little bit. Make sure that doesn't go in there. Quinacridone Purple, PV55. Favorite of mine. So juicy. Absolutely gorgeous. Ultramarine Violet, PV15, PB29. Deft Blue, PB60. Look how nice and dark that one is. Ultramarine, PB29. The classic. This is hot press paper, so you will see it granulate more on cold press or rough. But let's see if we can get a little going. I think we are getting a little going. Indigo, PB15:1, PB66. I think this is a good representation of a indigo. Natural indigo is so beautiful, but unfortunately it's not light fast. And Prussian, PB27. Let's go ahead and move over a little bit. Mountain, PW5, PB29, and PG7. This one does have an opacity to it, having the white in there. You can see how it covers up my wording a little bit. I think if you use it in a thin wash, you can still see quite a bit through. But up here, it's pretty well covering. Phthalo, PB15:1. Helio Turquoise, PB16. Now this one I think I have out of order with the one that's right after it. You can let me know if you think I misordered them. I think this one might have a tiny bit more green to it than I try and do the order as best I can, but when you're talking about this many pans, you know, one's bound to be slightly shifted. Gorgeous color though, absolutely gorgeous. Helio Cerulean, PB 15:5. Not seen too much 15:5s. Very brilliant. Cobalt Turquoise, PG 50. This is your classic ultra bright turquoise. Gorgeous color. Has opacity to it. And then we go into Prussian Green, PG7, PB60. Prussian Green always looks very blue. Gets nice and dark though. Gorgeous color. Ocean. This is one of their kind of original colors. PB29, PG50, and PB6. And I have to say, I love it. Love, love, love. This is definitely a go get yourself some. It has like a muted but vibrant feel to it. Does have some opacity to it. Gorgeous color though. Phthalo Green, PG7. Next to this ultra vivid classic phthalo. Helio Green, PG36. Another very vivid color. Does get fairly dark, about medium darkness. Cobalt Green, PG19. I really like this one too. It does have some opacity to it being a cobalt, but has a nice true green. Then we have Sap Green, PY153, PG7. It's amazing how all the sap greens look so different from one manufacturer to another. Cobalt Green Dark. This one I think could have been bumped down closer to the blues. It does have a bluer cast. PG26. Love this color too. It has that kind of muted feel. Sorry about the phone going off. Everyone who watches me knows my house is never quiet. Very pretty. Green Deep, PB15 PG8. Let's just slide this over a bit. Olive Yellow, P062 PG36. Very olivey looking color. It's quite gorgeous. I think I'd call it olive green, not olive yellow, but other than that, the color is fantastic. May Green, PY151 PG7. This one is feel like it's glowing in the dark. Green Umber, PBR7. This one it's kind of got a yellowy green cast to it. It could go down in the browns though as well. I think a lot of people put it more there. But it also works really well as kind of a dirty green. Transparent Green Gold, PY154 PBR7. Transparent Yellow, PY150. I try and do a little gradation for you but it's hard to see on the yellows. And Lemon, PY3. Cadmium Yellow Light, PY35. Nice and vivid, a little bit opaque. Cadmium Yellow Medium. And this one, I could not find the pigment information. I went hunting and for some reason, nobody wanted to give it to me. Gorgeous color though. Always have to make a little mess. Yuan Dark. PW6, PY53, and PBR24. Very opaque. Has a nice peach to it. Naples, PW6, PY53, and PBR24. These two are very close. I mean, they're done with the same pigments. The Naples is a little bit deeper than the Yuan Deep. It's a little peachier as well. I hope you can see that. The differences, even though they have the same pigments in the same order. Yellow Ochre. We have PY42. Quinacridone Gold, PY150, PR101. This is a nice representation of quinacridone gold. Indian Yellow, PY110, PY154. This has really bright feel to it, much more towards the orangier side. Chrome Deep, PY65. This one's also very orangey. You do not need both of these colors. I'd say pick one. They're very close, very comparable. Chrome Orange, PO62. And I think I wrote that, a little wrong to where it looked a little like a B. We almost ran off the page. I'm sorry about that. Transparent Orange, PO71. Saturn Red, PO64. This color is really beautiful. Look at that vibrancy, but like it's muted down a little bit. Really beautiful. English Red, PR101. And Burnt Sienna for this row. PR101, PBK9. And here we go with transparent brown. PBR 41. This is one of my older colors from them. Can always tell by the way the pans were, how I used to pour them. Gorgeous color though. Transparent umber, PR 101. This is a beautiful brown as well. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Now this one, I got it when it was called Caput Mortem, but now they also call it Indian Red, and it's made of PR 101, PR 206. So at least when I looked it up, that's how it had it. And it looks just like a Caput Mortem. Very opaque. Potter's Pink, PR 233. This is another one where every manufacturer is so different from the other one. Some of them are very pink, some of them are quite muted. This one's quite pretty. Perlene Violet, PV 29. I think this one would fit up in the violet area as well, red and violet area. Burnt Umber, PBR 7. Very classic Burnt Umber. Van Dyke, PY 150, PBR 7, PBK 7. Really nice, deep, rich one. Very good, warm, dark. One on our last few. And this one is Sepia. PB 15:1, PBR 7, PBK 9. And I'd say this one's just a little bit more, less brown, more muted, and just a hair darker than the Van Dyke. Neutral tint, PR 122, PB 60, PBK 7. And I really like this neutral tint. It has a, I want to say like a violet undercast to it, which is quite pretty. Ivory Black, PBK 9. Perling Green, PBK 31. Some people pop this up by their greens, and in some of my palettes I do. Goes very nice and dark. Then we have our Payne's Gray, PBK 6, PB 15:6. Nice and dark, definitely blue leaning. And then we have our white, PW6, and we'll go ahead and see how opaque it is. If it covers up these. Not too bad. It's pretty, the opacity is pretty high on that one. All right, let's zoom on out. Oops. And check that out. What a pretty palette. So we'll let these dry. We'll take a look at them dry, and then down here we'll give a little dabble and see how they move and groove. Be right back. And there it is, all dry. Let's get a little closer of a look here. Maybe you see something you like. And let's go ahead and test how these paints move. Got a little space going on here. Enough for a little sampler. Let's go ahead and wet the paper. Let's try some green. This is Green Deep. It spreads, but it doesn't move. It's not a high mover at all. Let's try something like a lemon yellow. And this lemon will push that just a little bit, but nothing like a Coors. Let's try like an ultramarine. Yeah, it does not move at all, but look at how beautiful the colors blend. Just by me going over that yellow, it turned out to be a gorgeous green. These colors do mix extremely easily. Let's do a little cad red light. Let's add a little more water, see if we can. And it doesn't move too much. I'd say it's on the slower mover side. Let's try a little quinacridone magenta. A little bit. But boy, do they blend gorgeous. So if you're a control freak, this is not a bad pick for you. They will, they'll only move a little bit and flow a little bit, but the blending is absolutely outstanding. So I hope that gave you a little view on our nice big palette here. And my little swatch card. And I hope you saw something you liked, didn't like, so you know where to spend your money. And like I said, this was the last up in our regular palettes, so we're going to start comparing these colors to one another. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.